Hello and welcome to Sharks Happen. My name is Hal, I'm your host. Show we go over shark attacks from the 1900s to present, mainly large sharks. Speaking of which, of all sharks, all the worldwide from 1900 to 2020, there has been 4,405 shark attacks. That includes all small, medium, large shark, all sharks. 4,405 recorded shark attacks since 1900. So it's a very, very rare occurrence when any sharks attack, and the United States happen to lead the world. We'll go over those numbers at the end, but right now we're going to get started. We're going to head over to South Africa, to Fishhook Beach. It's in False Bay, and it is Monday, November 15th, 2004. Tyna Webb, 77 years old, is out doing her morning swim. About 30 people swim in the bay, in Fishhook Bay, in the mornings, and it's probably earlier than most get out. There's not too many of them in the water. She's out there swimming, and she doesn't know, but there's a fishing boat that's kind of nearby, down a ways from her, and they are pulling in their nets, and you know, they have a bunch of fish, and they're all flapping around. It must have attracted that shark, because when they were tossing back the protected fish, they have to get the protected fish out of their nets, and they're tossing it back. They said the shark came up to the boat and turned and swam towards the direction where the attack happened, parallel with the beach. So they had seen the shark. It's perfectly calm weather. No white capping or anything to like disguise the noise of somebody out there swimming, making noise like that a shark might be attracted to. So one person lives across the street from the beach, or lives on the beach, and a few hundred yards from where she ends up being attacked, was watching her with binoculars, watching her swimming, and he notices that she's swimming right for that shark. Another gentleman is watching from his car up on a huge cliff and on a mountain, they say, and he says that he saw the shark was zooming towards her as fast as it could, and he says it didn't slow down much at all. It hit, and the blood just filled the water. He says it was incredible how much blood it hit when it first hit. Went past her, did like two turns, a half turn this way, and then swam around the other way. Came back and hit her again and took her underwater, and then turned and went to open sea, kind of underwater, half submerged. But people said it was a huge shark. There was about a dozen witnesses to the attack. She was just out doing her morning swim, and she was never seen again. They never found anything of her. So that's our first story, Fishhook Bay. Stick with us, because in a few minutes we're going to get right back to the same beach where another attack happens. So that's our first South Africa story, and we're going to get moving on. Okay, now we're going to head over to Islamorada, Florida, in the Keys. Just off of Islamorada there is Alligator Reef, and it is Wednesday, September 13th. 1996, William Covert, a 25-year-old marine biologist, is down doing some scuba diving. His friends are hookah diving, so they have the air hoses going up to the boat that supplies them the air, but he's on full scuba gear and he is never seen again. They do, however, find his dive belt and his clothes, and although some of the local divers in the area said, oh, you didn't have the right safety equipment there, the Dr. Hubble is the name of the coroner there. He ended up saying, no, I matched the bite wounds up on the clothes with the 10 to 12 foot bull shark. So it would seem William Covert was the victim of a bull shark, which, you know, that's going to eat you every time. Every time that thing is going to try to eat you. Like I said, I've gone through a lot of these stories, and I still haven't seen the one where that just test bites you. So that's another bull shark story, and we're going to get on with our final story of the day. Okay, round this out, we're heading back to South Africa, back to False Bay, to Fishhook Beach, where our first story of the day took place. This is Tuesday, January 12th, 2010, 6 years after the Webb attack, which was our first story. Lloyd Skinner, he's a 37-year-old male. He's out and he is adjusting his goggles. He is in about high chest height water. It's probably about 5 feet of water, 5.5 feet of water, because there's other people that's further inshore that are standing in chest high water, but they said he's further out, so it's probably deeper there. I'm saying about 5.5 feet of water. He's probably a taller guy. Looks like a taller guy in the pictures anyway, but anyway, he's standing there and he's adjusting his goggles when he is attacked. This shark comes and hits him, and the water fills with the blood, and he's waving his arms. Now they say the shark turns and it swings back and takes him, and he disappears under the water. So then they say it makes one more pass, and this time he's got him in his mouth, and he just kind of does a big circle, and everybody gets to see this man hanging out of this huge shark's mouth. So we're going to get to the eyewitness accounts, but I want to go with the actual eyewitness accounts that they reported to the news and the Twitter feed and things like that. So the attack happened in 2010, and there's Greg Coppin. He went ahead and he tweeted out, "Holy shit, we just saw a giant shark eat what looked like a person in front of our house. That shark was huge, like dinosaur huge." Then he goes ahead and he tells the news, he says the shark was longer than a minibus. And then he also goes on to say it was this giant shadow heading to something colorful. Then it came out of the water and took this colorful lump and went off with it. He says you could see the whole jaw wrapped around this thing, which turned out to be a person. And that turned out to be Lloyd Skinner, and this shark took him away, and that was it for him. Kyle Johnson, who was in the water 15 meters from him, so about 50 feet away, he says, we were swimming only about 15 meters away from the guy, and they looked at the walkway and saw people waving their towels at us. We thought they were joking at first to get out of the sea, and then we looked behind us and the water was dark, and then a leg came up. So a severed leg ended up popping up at the top of the water to show them. There's other eyewitness accounts on that one, and you can go ahead if you want and check these stories. I'll always look into these stories. I get into some of the details. I try to cover the main ones. If I don't cover everything, you know, then there's different sources. So I go off of whatever I usually go off of global shark attack files for these stories, and then I go through and find out what the eyewitnesses, if there are witnesses to it, what they have said. So there's 3 more predations. All 3 predations. I think we're sitting at 8 predations and 1 test fight right now. So that's going to be it for the show, but we're going to get right to the whiteboard right now and go over some numbers on frequency of attacks and deaths. Here we're at the whiteboard. You might not be able to see this, but I just want to go over this anyway. From 1900 to 2020, so that's 120 years, there's been worldwide 4,405 attacks. Like I said, 1,104 of those resulted in death. For just 25.06% of the time that somebody's bit by a shark, they die, so 1 out of 4. The U.S., we're probably the best at it, at not dying from, because we got a lot of small dogfish type sharks that do a lot of biting in like Florida. We have 1,657. 37% of all shark bites in the world happen here off the shores of the mainland and Hawaii and any U.S. shores. 144 resulted in deaths though. That's 8%. So 1 out of every 12 people bit by a shark in the U.S. die. That's very low. Whereas Australia, they have 904 attacks in the 120 years. They have 259 deaths. That's 28%. That's above the average of 25.06. South Africa, another bad place for it, 395 attacks. 96 deaths, that's 24%. There's countries out there that, you know, where they don't have the best care. They're up in the 60 percentile range. But those are the numbers. Now these numbers, 1,657 attacks over the 120 years. That's 13.8 each year. So each year in the U.S., off all the waters of the U.S. coasts, we have a 13.8, so just under 14 shark attacks per year. The 14.4, that means we have just over 1 death per year on average. So not a lot going on there. Australia, they have 7.5 attacks per year. And South Africa has 3.2 attacks per year. These numbers are very low. This is minuscule. This is not even something to worry about. But I don't touch the water because there's those sharks in there. So like I say, enjoy your day. But if you go out in that water, remember, you are much more afraid of the sharks than they are of you.